Hello, I'm Ash and I'm here today to talk to you about Hereditary, more specifically the ending and all the weird spooky things that have gone on throughout the film that can come to explain it. So A24's latest addition to the horror world has got cinema goers riled up the world over. Hereditary is about a grandmother that passes away and leaves her family with an awakening of horrible, spooky, supernatural occurrences. They've got to figure out what the is going on. Offering suggestive hints rather than anything too outright when it comes to the narrative, there is plenty to unpack when it comes to Hereditary's spooky bits, especially the ending. Obviously this video is going to contain spoilers relating to Hereditary and all the things that go on in it, so if you haven't seen the film, go back, do yourself a favour and watch it, have some nightmares, then maybe come back and watch this video. To get cracking then, we're told at the end of the film by mysterious witch Joan that Annie's son Peter is now host to one of the 8 kings of hell, Lord Paimon to be more specific. He was originally in a female body but rejected it in favour of having a dong to become a man, so take of that what you will. In return for these naked cultists helping their demon boy out, they ask for honour, wealth, knowledge of all secret things and good familiars, so not much then. But where exactly did this ritual come from? What is it? How does it play out? How do all these clues come together in the film to take us to this ending? And also, who the is Paimon? Essentially, the whole movie is an extended play of this Hell King Paimon's ritual. Positioned from the point of the lambs to the slaughter, as it were, from Annie Graham and her family's perspective, we as the audience are supposed to be confused, as we're never given the full rundown of how each step progresses for cultists interested in their bloodline. Throughout the film, we see these weird naked cultists turning up at all sorts of various points in different shots. So we see them at the funeral acting weird and creepy, hiding in dark corners, and even when Peter's smoking out of his window at the house, there's hot breath being blown back into the shot as if they're watching from the garden. Spooky. The family is under constant surveillance as the cultists are waiting for Paimon's arrival, showing that everything has been carefully orchestrated to function exactly how it plays out. We know from Joan that Paimon was originally in a female body, and presumably this is Annie's second-born daughter, Charlie. Whilst Peter was kept away from his controlling grandmother and the family estranged from the matriarch, her failing health meant that she moved into the Grahams' home during Annie's second pregnancy, with Annie herself admitting that she gave her Charlie to appease her for not really being around for Peter's side of things. This meant that Lee was able to take over pregnancy, birth and life of Charlie, so whilst it's not really clear when she managed to get this demon inside her, is a good chance that it started from before she was even born. Due to Annie's strong connection to the supernatural elements of the film, perhaps Paimon has always resided in the female members of the family, moving down from grandmother to mother to daughter until he can finally get to his most desired male host. Grandmother Lee is actually referred to as a queen in her final image, which may be the gender swap vision of King Paimon whilst he was waiting to come down into Peter. In wider terms, director Ari Aster actually leaves the writing literally on the wall with showing us what's going on at any given moment. Words such as Satany, Liftoach, Pandemonium and Zazaz are written across the family home and even copied into the miniature models that Annie's making. Whilst Pandemonium seems pretty clear on its meaning, the others aren't so obvious. So the Satany, which is used within necromancy and other sort of undead rituals, and also has parallels with the word Satan, which doesn't mean much, but obviously links back to the devil stuff. Liftoach is actually the Hebrew word for open, and Zazaz is a demon conjured by using Ouija boards, more often known as Zozo. We're literally being told throughout the film what is happening and what is coming for us, but unable to decipher it, so we're left as clueless as the family we're watching on screen. When you go back for a second viewing and know what's coming, you'll see these words crop up and think, ah yes, demons, it makes sense now. As for the big daddy of the whole event, there's little information that can be gleaned on Paimon himself apart from his first appearance in an anonymous grimoire entitled The Lesser Key of Solomon. Within this grimoire it can be seen that he's the most devout of all the devil's kings, as well as being a master of science and art. This is especially pertinent when we look at the family and their knack for creative things. Peter is a musician, Annie is a tiny model maker, and Charlie draws and makes these stick figures religiously. Her obsession with making these out of litter and sticks is another indication of her duality with Paimon. Her artwork reflective of his search for the perfect vessel, something she tries to create herself with the raw materials she finds, including a severed pigeon's head. The creepiness makes sense when you realise she's got an evil demon trapped inside her, really. Importantly, Paimon's sigil is actually emblazoned across plenty of things throughout the movie as well, presumably put there by Lee before her death. We see it printed in blood on the ceiling above her body, we see it woven into the doormats that she makes, we see it on necklaces that she hands out and wears herself, as well as printed on the lamppost that knocks Charlie's head off. Paimon is also known to be able to see into the past as well as the distant future, so the cultists tapping into this knowledge can orchestrate something that's capable of being acted out in tiny, minute detail. They knew they were going to knock off Charlie's head and they made it happen. Not very nice, really. However, Paimon stands for something more than the clear supernatural elements of the movie, acting as a representative of grief as much as he is an evil overlord of a nudist colony. None of the characters actually communicate about their feelings at any given point, so there's all this death and life and experience going on around them, and they won't open up about it. This leads to Annie actually only finding out about Charlie's death by finding her decomposing headless corpse in the back of the car. Not cool, Peter. The constant need to reach out into the unknown before reaching out to each other invites something dark and malicious into their lives, killing and maiming and taking over things, much like unchecked mental anguish. Annie will only communicate her pain through recreating scenes in models. Peter is afraid but unwilling to speak about it, choosing to cry and lock himself up instead, and the father, Steve, wants to keep any sign of emotional turmoil as far away as possible, himself not showing any kind of remorse for his daughter's death throughout the entire runtime of the film. Even Charlie, when she was alive, would only respond with "that's okay," even when it wasn't, forcing herself into her own death sentence by going to this party she had no interest in. It's these emotions that end up killing everyone as much as it is Paimon. So Annie is left worshipping the rotting corpse of her daughter, Steve is burning in the fires of hell, and Peter has been hollowed out like a kiwi fruit to house Paimon in for the rest of eternity. They're consumed by their inability to reach out as much as this creature from hell, and maybe they are one and the same. The crowning of Peter is also important as it's representative of the burden of his bloodline being placed squarely on his shoulders, the last remaining family member of the Grahams to be able to take it on. There's obviously mention of things such as dementia, depression, dissociative identity disorder and schizophrenia that run within their bloodline. Hereditary is as much about what we take from our family and how we deal with it, and the repercussions that come from bloodline links. In any case, the reality of Paimon is actually probably the scariest thing of this film because he's existed in literary text since the 15th century, as well as having a very real cult following in normal human life. Don't stick your head out of any windows anytime soon, or he's going to take it off. Chilling, gruesome, and ever surprising, the film is at the very least an excellently crafted movie, as well as a testament to groundbreaking horror that's coming out in recent years. If you want to learn a bit more about the ending and maybe read up on some of the things I've mentioned, you can check out the article on whatculture.com too. But for now, hail Paimon! Don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and come back for more. Thanks for watching!